GridironTalkZone podcast here to start to get into NFL predictions. So last time you saw us, we did quarterback rankings. Now we're getting into the team predictions division by division, starting with the AFC North. I have John and Jude on with me. So yeah, do you guys want to say anything before we get started?
I don't think I have. No, I have nothing to.
Okay, so we're just gonna go from 4 to 1 with the AFC North. Just talk about the teams and why we have them placed where we have them placed, and yeah, let's get started. All right, so starting off at number 4, you guys both have the Steelers. I do not have the Steelers fourth. So since you guys both have the Steelers fourth, why don't you guys go first and explain why the Steelers are going to be last in this division?
Okay, you can
You can go first.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Okay. I have the Steelers fourth because I just don't see a lot of high star power apart from the defensive front seven. I just think it's a lot of average, like Najee Harris, Kenny Pickett, average wide receiver core, average offensive line. I just see a lot of mediocre, other than like Minkah Fitzpatrick and the front seven, like I said.
Okay. I'll let Jude go, and then I'm going to debate this.
All right. I'm just gonna come out and say that I actually really like Mike Tomlin, so this is nothing with him. I think with him, you're almost guaranteed like 7 or 8 wins. So the reason why they're fourth, I just don't believe in Kenny Pickett whatsoever. I didn't have a first round grade on him coming out. He didn't show me anything different last year than I thought. He was okay in the games. I mean, he beat some bad teams at the end of the year. Didn't really do a whole lot for me. I think I like the receiving core. Offensive line is shaky and the offensive coordinator is shaky, so that's tough, especially when you got a guy like Kenny Pickett. He needs a lot of help. I just like the three teams ahead. Their quarterbacks are just miles better. He's by far the fourth, at least most talented quarterback for sure. But yeah, I think the Steelers. I'd probably say like 7, 8 wins, like I said, just around there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the AFC's too tough. Like they're not gonna. They're in the AFC. You got to have a superstar or a star quarterback to really compete. You can't win with the team they have, or you can't win with the quarterback they have. And I think this might be a hot take, but I think they might be looking for a new one in a few months.
Wow. Okay, so we talked about Pickett on the podcast. I like him. I actually have him being around the 12th or 13th best quarterback this year. I like Pickett a little bit more than I like Deshaun Watson this year, so I think they actually have the third best quarterback in the division. I just trust Pickett with the consistency more from the pocket compared to the mess Watson looked like last year. I think it's going to take some time for Watson to get back to that old form. So I like Pickett more for this year. And I've talked a lot about Pickett, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna talk about the Browns right now because the Steelers, I'll get to them when we get to them for me. But going back to the Browns, Deshaun Watson, yeah, biggest question mark in football this year. If Deshaun Watson plays like a top 10 quarterback, even in this division, it's tough. They could probably finish second. If he doesn't play like a top 10 quarterback, I think they're going to be competing with a team or two for third and fourth. And I'm banking on him playing about average. I like the defense a lot, the additions of Darius Smith and Dalvin Tomlinson to the defensive line. So the Browns are going to be scary up front. It just comes down to I like the other 3 teams more. I have the Browns winning 9 games and finishing last. So, I don't think they're a bad team at all. I just like a little bit more of the other teams. I like the coaching and quarterbacks of the other teams more. I think Stefanski is by far the worst coach in this division. So I just trust the other teams a little bit more than the Browns. So I'm going to have the Browns finishing fourth. But it's a go either way for really 2 through 4 in my opinion.
John, you can go.
Actually, you can go. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of, I mean, what you're saying, it's like, okay, that's fine, but I'm not really a big fan of Zach Taylor at all. I don't think I think just it's easy to say, but I feel like Joe Burrow has elevated him to a level that he really isn't on. I mean, Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year 2 years ago, so it's not like he's
He
not
did, but
some.
I mean, Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year too. So like, you can win it in your first year and then just struggle after that.
Yeah, and I mean that's okay.
I just think what Taylor has done. You've seen them in the big games with the Chiefs. They coach. It's not just Zach Taylor, but like the defense
Well,
coordinator.
okay, I have a
Just the
question
whole
for you,
entire the
actually.
coaching
No,
staff.
no.
I love the coaching staff of the Bengals.
I have a question for you. Name me the big game that Pittsburgh has won in the last 10 to 12 years?
Okay, well, you're going
Not
back.
one.
You're going back too far.
Not any.
They lost to Blake Bortles, okay, when they were stacked. You're just you, okay.
Okay. If you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this. When did the Steelers finish fourth in the division in the last 10 to 12 years? I'm not saying that the Steelers are going to go win the Super Bowl.
I mean,
they
could have been fourth last year. They just won a crap game at the end of the year. It didn't really mean anything. I mean, it's not like they were like miles ahead of the Browns. And the Browns.
I'm not saying they can't finish
Brissett.
fourth, but are we debating Mike Tomlin's legacy or the rankings of the AFC North?
Yeah, my bad. I just okay, John, you can go.
Mike Tomlin, he just could never beat the Patriots. Okay. Steel. Oh, you're talking about the Browns, right?
Yeah. Wait, we can move on to number 3 because you guys both have the same team at number 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, all right, on to number 3.
Oh wow.
Okay, you guys can talk about number 3, the Browns, since I just kind of talked about them. So,
Lord.
What?
God Almighty!
I was not expecting to see that. Okay.
See what?
Talking about me with the hot takes. Yeah, here we go.
You have the hottest
Here you
take
go.
of the night. It's gonna come later, but in the next one. But anyway,
Okay.
So the Browns at 3 for you guys. Yeah, you like them a little bit more than me. I just like the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals more than the Browns, and for the reasons I explained. The coaching and quarterback, I trust a lot more, being consistent all year from the other 3 teams, and they're all 3 really good rosters. So it really comes down to those 2 important factors for me, and just the way the schedule laid out. I'm just gonna say right now, Bengals winning 14. Then my other 2 teams going other 3 teams going 11, 10, and then 9 wins. So just all right close.
Oh wow.
But anyway,
Okay.
talk about the Browns. Why do you like them more than the Steelers? Both of you guys. So John, you can go first.
Okay. I like them more just because the overall defense. I really like the addition of Zadarius Smith, and I think Myles Garrett's gonna win Defensive Player of the Year this year. And I also really like. I think the Browns' offensive line is better with a better running game to help out Deshaun Watson, and I think he definitely improves on last year and does do better than Kenny Pickett actually.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can see it. I could totally see it and understand that. But go on, Jude.
The only thing tricky about Cleveland is they're one Nick Chubb injury away from being pretty shaky at running back since Kareem Hunt left. So that's tough.
That's
but
true.
But there's Nick Chubb has shown like no injury history in his career. I'm pretty sure that's true. I think it might take a few games for it to get figured out with Deshaun. But it's not really a lot you can expect. I mean, coming off a year and a half, he couldn't practice the entire year with the team. And Brissett was fine. I mean, he played decent. If I'm not mistaken, they won 5 or 6 games with Brissett. But I just think Deshaun he's so dynamic. I just think he needs it'll take about 4 to 5 weeks. For them to get really going. I like John said, I like the defensive pickups they made as well, super underrated pickups. And they really have, if you think about it, there's not really many holes on the team. Like, if you just think about it. They have Amari Cooper, they have Nick Chubb, they have Deshaun Watson, they have Myles Garrett, they have Denzel Ward. Their D-line, or their linebacking core is, the only part that's, okay, a little shaky. But they're kind of setting themselves up for the next 1 to 2 years to be contending in the AFC. Me personally, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I think they're that next team out. Just because the AFC is so tough. But you got a lot to say for your number 3.
Actually, we'll talk a little bit about the Browns. So going back to it, yes, they're going to start rough, not only because Watson getting back into the swing of things, but look at the schedule. You open up with the Bengals, then you go to Pittsburgh, you play Tennessee, Baltimore. You have a Week 5 bye week, which sucks to have it that early. Then you have to play San Francisco, Indianapolis, then Seattle. So Bailey for his tough 8 weeks. I think they're going to get rolling at the end of the year as I have them going on a 6-game win streak late in the year. But I just think it's going to be a rough start, and I think they're going to kind of pick it back up and have some momentum maybe going into next year. But then again, if you miss the playoffs, you're going to have to really look at Kevin Stefanski's job status. So as much as we can say it's a big hit or miss. If Watson hits, like I said, you're looking at a really good team. If he doesn't hit, you're looking at a kind of mediocre team. I think he's going to be solid, and they're going to be about a 9-win team. But I just think that you look at all the other coaches and quarterbacks in the AFC, they're much better than the Browns. And as good as a roster as they have, I just think that's one area that I'm a little concerned about. But anyway, on to my number 3 team, the Ravens. So,
oh, brother.
The Ravens.
There you go.
Okay, the Ravens and the Steelers are very close teams. I'm doing my roster evaluation, so I've only done some offensive positions, no defense yet. I've done coaching too. I'm gonna go over a few things. I'm just gonna say I think the Ravens might be a slightly better roster than the Steelers, but I'm gonna explain why I have the Steelers winning. So looking at quarterback, I have the Ravens at an 8 out of 10. I only have the Steelers 1 spot down at a 7 out of 10. I think that high of Pickett, and you guys know I'm a little bit lower on Lamar than the consensus. So I think Lamar is about the 8th to 10th best quarterback this year probably. Pickett's around that 12 range, so I think it's closer than people think. And I am concerned about the Ravens. Like, the offense, people want to say they got rid of Greg Roman, but it worked. The offense was really good year by year. It just wasn't enough to get them over the hump. Now you're bringing in a completely new coordinator, Todd Monken from Georgia, who I believe last time he was in the NFL, he was part of the Freddie Kitchens 2019 Browns mess, if I'm correct.
It's tough. Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, you're looking at making Lamar a consistent drop-back passer, which is something we haven't seen in his career. So I think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. The receiving core, Zay Flowers, should be good as a rookie. Bateman and Odell are both injury-prone, and Bateman hasn't shown much in the NFL. So I think the receiving core is good, but I'd rather have the Steelers receiving core. That's including the tight end, Mark Andrews, because the Steelers have a good tight end too in Pat Freiermuth. So I think the quarterback is close. I'd rather have the Steelers receiving core. The coaching is good on both ends. As Matt Canada kind of holds the Steelers back, I'm not too confident in the Ravens' whole entire staff outside of Harbaugh now that they lost Dink Markendale a few years ago and now Greg Roman. But overall, pass rush, the Steelers' pass rush is way better than the Ravens. I'd say the Ravens' corner room is probably better just because you have the star and Marlon Humphrey, but the 2 and 3, the depth is way better in Pittsburgh than Baltimore right now because they lost Marcus Peters. Safety is good on both ends. But anyway, both are going to have really good defenses. Both are going to have good offenses. So it really comes down to the schedule for me. And I have the Steelers at 11 wins. Just looking at their schedule, it's laid out really well, and it seems pretty easy. Ravens, of course, they play similar opponents being in the same division. But the Ravens have to end the year playing Jacksonville, San Francisco, Miami, and then Pittsburgh. Right now I have Pittsburgh winning the Week 18 game to end up winning one more game than Baltimore, and that's kind of where I'm at here. But yeah, I think the rosters are really close, and I think Pittsburgh's better at quarterback than people expect. And I think the Ravens are going to be a little bit more of an adjustment with a new offense. So I think both teams are about in that 10-11 win range. I just have the Steelers winning one more game than the Ravens, so I have them finishing second. Jude, right. I think you have something to say, so can you debate?
All right. I don't understand. Like, what has Kenny Pickett done to be even on the? You said it was close with him and Lamar. How are they even close?
Well, I'm not ranking based off of what they have done. I'm ranking based off of what I expect this year. And Pickett, I had a first-round grade on him. Looking at this year's draft compared to last draft, I had Pickett as a higher rated prospect than a guy who just went 2 overall in CJ Stroud. So I think Pickett's a really good prospect. I had him as a top 10 player in his class. Really good prospect, and I think he showed a lot in clutch moments last year. I mean, he showed more clutch moments last year than you can debate that Lamar's shown over his entire career. So I think he has that clutch factor. I think he has that it factor, that kind of gamer mentality to him. I think he has a lot to him to like. the Steelers getting borderline top 10 quarterback play, which they haven't had since like 2018 Big Ben. I think they're going to win 11 games because of that, because the defense is still really good. They're well coached, even if you don't like the coordinator. I will say, Matt Canada, I'm a little concerned with Matt Canada that they're still going to have to win these 16 to 13 games, these 20 to 17 games, because I really do think Pickett can go out there and score you 25 to 30 points consistently. I just think that the coordinator might hold that back, resulting in them maybe under doing what I'm expecting, but I still think a really good team who seems to always pull it out, and I think they're going to pull out 11 wins this year and make the playoffs.
All right, you can go, John.
Okay. So with the Ravens, I kind of just look back at last year and how their defense just completely carried Tyler Huntley and a way worse wide receiver core. Yeah. And now this year, their offense is better with additions of Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, and Lamar Jackson back healthy. I just don't see any way where they get worse. I don't know if you have them getting worse.
We just lost Jude.
I don't see where they get worse.
Back on. Okay, I get what you're saying, but again, I think that the completely changing the offense, and it's going to take a while to adjust to. And Lamar is going to have to take strides as a passer for this to be as good of an offense as it's been in past years, just because of the completely different offense. It's a passing offense now. It's not a run first built around Lamar Jackson offense. It's a passing offense, and they have mediocre weapons and a really good quarterback, but a little bit disappointing from a passing standpoint compared to other guys in the league. So I don't know. I think it's going to be good, and I think they'll win 10 games. But the Ravens, what have they won? 8 games a few years ago, 10 games last year. I don't think they're just going to come out and win 12, 13 games. But I'm not saying you guys are saying that either. But I just think that them and the Steelers are going to really fight it out for that 2 spot as well as the Browns. And I just like the Steelers more a little bit than the other 2 teams. But yeah, it's debatable. All 3 of these teams. And I'll go ahead and flash up number 2. But what you guys are talking.
Okay. I just don't understand what you didn't really answer my question. Okay, I rebutted what you said, all those clutch games that Kenny Pickett had when they were 4-9 or no, 4-8. Wait, my bad.
Steelers won 8 games.
Yeah,
9 games.
5-8, and they beat Carolina, and then went on to beat Las Vegas,
the Raiders, yeah.
And then Tyler Huntley, and at Baltimore was a huge win, and then Cleveland, who you just crapped on for the last
I didn't crap on. I said they were a really good team. Just they don't have as good of a coaching quarterback as any other team in this division.
It wasn't a very impressive win. I mean, according to you.
Okay, yeah, that
beat the Ravens by 3. I mean,
but
he threw more interceptions than touchdowns.
He did.
There's no debating that. His QBR, on a scale of 1 to 100, his QBR was 51. And okay, that sounds pitiful, right?
Advanced analytics show he was way better than the traditional numbers say.
He's right above Andy Dalton, and he's right below. Oh wow, your guy Trevor Lawrence. Oh wow, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, well, first off,
what are you seeing on this film that I'm not seeing? I haven't seen anything from Kenny Pickett that moves me to make them number 2 ahead of Baltimore. Baltimore won 10 games with freaking Tyler Huntley, and the only reason why they didn't beat Cincy in the playoff game was because Cincy had a fumble 6 in the fourth quarter.
100-yard fumble 6.
100 yards.
1, this is not last year. 2, if you go back and you look at it, the Ravens were 8-4 or something when Lamar got to it, and they had some really tough games coming up after. If you look at it, Lamar was healthy. I think that they would have won 10, maybe 11 games looking at the teams that they played and beat and lost to without Lamar. So, 1, it's not last year. It's a new, completely different offense that Lamar's going to have to adjust to. Will Pickett is going to the same offense another year in a row. And back to Pickett, PFF, 18 big-time throws, 12 turnover-worthy plays. So that's a really good ratio if you're comparing it to the rest of the league. That's solid. To get that as a rookie, more big-time plays than turnover-worthy plays is something that, is really impressive. And just the pocket ability of Pickett, it does need to improve, but it's pretty good. And you look at it like his first game starting versus the Jets, 3 interceptions. 0 of those were considered turnover worthy per PFF. So that means that they were all tipped or drop passes. So anyway, that's 3 interceptions right there. So just looking at stuff like that, watching the film, I think he's going to be the most improved accuracy quarterback in football this year just because of how accurate he was in college. But everything else, he can make plays on the run outside the pocket. Again, not the best pocket passer. He needs to grow as far as his awareness and stepping into pressure, but it's something that he showed flashes of. And just the clutch factor, like, yeah, he had those clutch moments, and maybe he's not going to be in those situations this year because he's going to be better throughout the entire game. But whenever he needed to step up and put a big drive together, he did it as well as almost any quarterback not named Kirk Cousins last year in all of football. And I don't care who you're playing. You're playing NFL.
Here we go. This Kirk Cousins. Oh, God. All right, just keep going.
The Ravens are a really good NFL defense, and comeback drive on them to win Sunday Night Football. The Colts, yes, they were a mess last year, but prime time Monday Night Football comeback game-winning drive. So he just showed up in clutch moments. The Steelers are going to pull out some tough games and pull out 11 wins, is what I'm predicting. But anyway, you guys have the Ravens too. So why the Ravens over the other two teams? Is it just you're so much higher on Lamar than Pickett and Watson or something? Which is understandable, but
it's Lamar in the defense.
Lamar in the defense.
Yeah,
the
pretty much.
Defense is going to be this. Do the Steelers not have a better pass rush than the Ravens? Do the Steelers not have the best safety out of either team? They do, but the Ravens probably have a little bit more guys all around. But yeah, okay.
Well, okay. The one thing about the Ravens, I mean, it's tough because you don't really know what to expect with this new offense. But the last time Lamar was in a spread offense, he won the freaking Heisman Trophy. So we're not going to sit here and act like he can't throw the ball, and he hasn't proven he can throw the ball, and he's not clutch. Because Kenny Pickett had 3 clutch games against 3 bad teams in last season. I just told you, they literally should have. If you're telling me right now, the game wouldn't have been different in last season in the playoffs, and you say, "Oh, it's a completely different season," but what crazy move have the Steelers made since then, or what crazy move have the Ravens made since then? In a negative way, you think?
Well, I think the Ravens, like I said, the offense is going to be adjustment. Pickett's going in the same system. George Pickens is a lot of times it's not the big free agent move; it's player development that changes your team. A good player going from year 2 to year 3 or year 1 to year 2. Pickens showed a lot last year. Now going into year 2, if he can take over and be a true number 1 receiver, then you have Deontay Johnson in the slot. Hopefully Allen Robinson can provide something at least as the third receiver. If not, I'm a big believer in Calvin Austin, the second-year player out of Memphis, young guy. Pat Freiermuth, going into year 3, already took a big step in year 2 and was a top 10 tight end. What if he becomes a top 5 tight end? You're looking at a pretty scaly offense then. But the defense, you added Patrick Peterson. You replaced your linebackers who had been disappointing. TJ Watt missed a lot of last year, so you're going to hopefully get a whole season out of TJ Watt, who can play like the best defensive player in football at times. So these things are big. And looking at a team who won 9 games, they can take a stride to 11 wins, in my opinion.
All right, we can. I guess we can move on to number 1 if you want, because we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on this one.
Okay, the season will play out, but we can all agree that 2. Okay, do you guys agree that 2 through 4 can go in any order, or you don't see any way the Steelers outperform the other 2 teams?
No, I don't. Well, I could see 1 and 2 being interchangeable.
Wow.
Honestly, I don't. It's tough to say they're all interchangeable because there's no way the Steelers are winning the division. There's not really a way the Browns. It's tough. Some of these are interchangeable. 2 and 1 are interchangeable. 3 and 4, maybe, I guess. No, it's not lock set. No.
Right before the season, we're gonna have just final record predictions. But right now, you think that Jude? You think the Steelers are about a 7-win team? I have them at 11. John, do you think about in between that, or are you closer to Jude?
I'm 7-8 wins.
Wow. Okay. And then I already said I had Ravens 10, Browns 9. But anyway, we can move on to number 1. We all agree that the Bengals are the best team in this division.
Yeah.
Super Bowl I think as good as the other teams are, I think the Bengals are the only Super Bowl contender in this division. I don't think the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender, nor the Browns or Steelers. But yeah, what is there to not like about the Bengals other than they lost their 2 starting safeties? But the team's overall complete. As long as Burrow's injury isn't big time, there's no reason why this team shouldn't win 12, 13, 14 games.
Yeah, not much to add about the Bengals. Just such a high-powered offense. I expect Jamar Chase to be very good this year, and just probably top 3 offense in the NFL.
Yeah, and they're very well coached on the defensive side of the ball, and they still have some pretty good players on the defensive side of the ball too. So overall, well coached team, good on both ends of the ball, good kicker. Nothing really to dislike about the Bengals. It's just, can they finally go win that Super Bowl? I don't know right now who I'm going to predict to win it, but they're definitely one of the top 3 to 4 candidates in my opinion. But do you have anything else to add, Jude?
Yeah, I'm not. I'll say this about the Bengals. I feel like Joe Burrow will, like, every year he's in the NFL, like they're always going to be in the mix with the Bengals. So I'm not going to like say that they can't win ever again, but I think this year might be like one of their best like chances. Just because they have a lot of key free agents next summer, and they can't pay everybody, and they got to pay Burrow, and they still got to pay Chase. So I think if it has to be a year where they have to win, I think it has to be this year. But I'm not necessarily. You said 14 wins. I don't see 14 wins, especially with Burrow, like the injury thing. That's kind of concerning. And it always kind of takes them a few weeks, if you noticed the past couple of years, to get in the flow. So I'd probably say about 11, 12 wins probably. But
Okay.
it's not like they're not lock set. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at the end of the year if they were second. And I think they're a guaranteed playoff team, but I wouldn't be shocked if Baltimore was won the division.
Interesting. I'd be pretty surprised, so I'd say even shocked if Baltimore won the division. But looking at the Bengals, I guess you can say I have them on like the high end with 14. I have them losing week 1 to the Browns, losing late in the year to the Steelers, and losing to the Niners week 8. So I have them sweeping the Ravens just because I think that they've shown consistently year to year that they can really match up with the Ravens and sweep them. So, but anyway, like, I have them beating Buffalo, going on the road and beating the Jags on Monday Night Football, winning at Kansas City late in the year, December 31st. So I have them winning a lot of these games against the other high-powered AFC teams. So I guess I have them on the high end, but yeah, I'm looking at 13, 14 wins for them this year. But anyway, that's going to wrap up the podcast. So that's the AFC North. We are going to do the AFC South too.